The stars looked peaceful outside the main window of the New Horizon. Captain Lee Taman stood there with his morning coffee, watching distant suns shine in the darkness. The ship had been flying through space for 6 months now, carrying a crew of humans and aliens on a research mission near the Vale Nebula. Taman liked these quiet moments. Soon the day shift would begin, and the ship would be full of noise again, scientists talking about their experiments, engineers fixing things that broke, and communications officers sending messages across the galaxy. But right now everything was calm. "Captain, we are picking up something strange on the long-range sensors," said Yoon Mi-ran from her station. She was the ship's communications officer, a young woman who could speak more alien languages than anyone else on the crew. Taimin walked over to her console. "What kind of strange?" "It looks like a distress beacon," Mi-ran said, her fingers moving over the controls. "But it's really old. The computer thinks it's been broadcasting for about 200 years. That got everyone's attention. Dr. Park So-young looked up from her medical reports. Engineer Kim Do-hyun stopped checking the engine readings. Even the alien crew members turned to listen. 200 years? Said Commander Velthar, the ship's first officer. He was a Zentorian, tall and thin with blue skin and large black eyes. "That is not possible. No beacon could work for so long." "The computer doesn't lie," Mi-ran said. "And there's something else. The signal pattern matches old Earth colony ships from that time period." Taman felt something cold in his stomach. "Show me the location." The main screen lit up with a star map. A red dot blinked in space, showing where the signal was coming from. When Taman saw it, he understood why Velthar looked worried. "The grief zones," whispered Crix, the science officer. She was a Heliosan, her crystal-like body reflecting the light from the screen. "That area is forbidden." Everyone knew about the grief zones. It was a region of space where ships went missing. 3 different alien civilizations had declared it cursed and off-limits. No one went there anymore. "Mi-ran, can you clean up the signal?" Taman asked. "Get more information." She worked on her console for several minutes. The bridge was very quiet except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Finally, she looked up. "I got it," she said. "The beacon is from the colony ship Aspiration. It left Earth in 2187 with 50,000 colonists. They were going to start a new world in the Kepler system, but they never arrived." Dr. Park So-young stood up from her station. 50,000 people, she said quietly. "Families, children, people looking for a new life. They are dead," said Velthar. "They have been dead for 2 centuries. Logic tells us this." "Maybe," said Taman. "Maybe not." Mi-ran sent a message to Galactic Command. "Tell them what we found." The next few hours felt very long. They waited for an answer from the Galactic Council, the group that made rules for all the different species in space. Finally, the message came back. "All ships are ordered to stay away from the grief zones," Mi-ran read from her screen. "Do not investigate the signal. Return to your normal mission." Taman stared at the message. Around the bridge, he could see how his crew was reacting. The alien officers looked relieved. This was the smart choice, the safe choice. But the human crew members looked different. They looked angry. "Captain," said Do-hyun, "we can't just leave them. If there are survivors, we have to help," added Dr. Park So-young. "The probability of survivors after 200 years is almost 0, said Velthar. "It would be foolish to risk this ship and crew for nothing." "Foolish?" Dr. Park So-young turned to look at him. "Those were people just like us. Someone's family. They were people," Crix corrected. "Now they are gone. We must accept this reality." Taman could feel tension building on the bridge. This was the difference between humans and most other species. Aliens were practical. They followed rules. They accepted facts. But humans were different. "What if it was your family?" asked Mi-ran. "What if your ship was lost and you were sending a distress signal for 200 years? Wouldn't you want someone to try?" "My family would understand that logic must prevail over emotion," Velthar replied. "Logic," Dr. Park So-young said the word like it tasted bad. "Logic says we should ignore people who might need help." Taman made his decision. Mi-ran set course for the signal location. "Captain," Velthar stood up. "The Galactic Council has ordered us not to go there." "I heard the order," Taman said. "I'm choosing to ignore it." The alien crew members looked shocked. "In their cultures, you didn't disobey orders from higher authority." But the human crew members were already moving to their stations, preparing the ship for a course change. "This is not logical," said Crix. The danger is real. The chances of success are minimal. Since when do humans care about chances? Asked Do-hyun, already working on engine modifications. If there's even a tiny possibility that someone is alive out there, we have to try. But why? Velthar asked. He really didn't understand. Why would you risk everything for strangers? For people who are probably dead? Dr. Park So-young looked at him with sad eyes. Because that's what makes us human, she said. We don't leave people behind, ever. As the New Horizon changed course toward the grief zones, Taemin could see the alien crew members talking quietly among themselves. They were probably thinking that humans were crazy, emotional, and dangerous. Maybe they were right. But as Taemin watched the stars ahead of them, he knew they were making the right choice. Somewhere in the darkness, people might be waiting for rescue, people who had been waiting for 200 years. And if there was even the smallest chance that someone was still alive, then the human thing to do was to try to save them. Even if it seemed impossible, even if it was dangerous, even if the whole galaxy said not to do it, that was just how humans were. The New Horizon flew through space toward the grief zones for 3 days. During those 3 days, Commander Velthar watched the human crew members and became more worried each hour. It started small. Engineer Kim Do-hyun began changing things in the engine room without asking permission. He was preparing the ship for problems that might happen. When Velthar asked him why, Do-hyun said, "Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. But the changes you are making are for situations that probably will not occur," Velthar pointed out. "Probably," Do-hyun agreed. "But what if they do occur? Then we'll be ready." This made no sense to Velthar. You didn't prepare for things that probably wouldn't happen. It was wasteful and illogical. Then there was Yoon Miran. She started broadcasting messages on old emergency frequencies. She was using languages that hadn't been spoken in hundreds of years, calling out to the aspiration in case anyone could hear. "Why are you doing this?" asked Crix, the crystal science officer. "Those languages are dead. No one speaks them anymore." "The colonists on the aspiration spoke them," Miran said, not stopping her work. "If anyone is alive, they might remember." "The probability that anyone is alive is 0.003%, Crick said. "So you're saying there's a chance?" Miran replied with a smile. Crix didn't understand the smile. How could 0.003% make someone happy? Dr. Park So-young was the worst of all. She started preparing the medical bay for injuries and diseases that hadn't existed for centuries. She was getting ready to treat people who had been in space for 200 years. "Doctor," Velthar tried to reason with her, "even if people are alive, they would not have these old diseases. Medical science has advanced. Not if they've been stuck in space for 200 years, Dr. Park So-young said. They might have conditions we've forgotten how to treat. I need to be ready." "You are preparing for an impossible situation," Velthar said. "Impossible things happen all the time," she replied. "That's why they invented the word impossible. If they never happened, we wouldn't need the word." Velthar sent a message to his homeworld reporting what he was seeing. "The humans on this ship are showing signs of mass psychological breakdown," he wrote. "They are preparing for situations that logic says cannot exist. They refuse to accept mathematical probabilities. I believe they are suffering from some form of shared delusion." Captain Taemin seemed to be the calmest of all the humans, but that worried Velthar more than anything else. The captain was making plans like he actually expected to find survivors. He was treating this impossible rescue mission like it was just another day at work. "Captain," Velthar said on the second day, "I must ask you to reconsider this mission. The danger is real. The chances of success are almost zero." "Almost zero isn't zero," Taemin said. "The difference is so small that it doesn't matter," Velthar replied. "It matters to me," Taemin said, "and it matters to anyone who might be alive out there." On the third day, they reached the edge of the grief zones. Immediately, all the ship's sensors started showing strange readings. Space itself seemed twisted here, full of energy patterns that didn't make sense. "Captain," said Crix, "I am detecting severe spatial anomalies ahead. This region appears to be full of dimensional distortions." "What does that mean?" asked Dr. Park So-young. "It means space is broken here," Do-hyun said, reading his engineering displays. "Reality doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Should we turn back?" asked Miran. "No," said Taemin. "We keep going." Captain Velthar stood up. "This is madness. You are risking the lives of everyone on this ship for people who are almost certainly dead. Almost certainly isn't certainly, Taman replied. They flew deeper into the grief zones. The ship began to shake as they hit pockets of twisted space-time. Warning lights flashed on every console. Then something happened that changed everything. The ship suddenly stopped moving forward even though the engines were still running. They were caught in some kind of space trap, unable to move in any direction. Report, ordered Taemin. We're stuck in a pocket dimension, said Do-hyun. Space is folded around us like a bubble. We can't get out. Escape options? Asked the captain. Unknown, said Crix. I have never seen anything like this before. Velthar felt a cold fear in his chest. This was exactly what he had been afraid of. Now they were all going to die because the humans refused to listen to logic. I am beginning emergency survival protocols, he announced. All crew should prepare for eventual rescue or other outcomes. The alien crew members immediately started following standard procedures. They sent distress signals, prepared survival equipment, and began mental exercises to accept their fate. This was what you did when you were trapped with no way out. You followed the rules and waited for help, but the humans did something completely different. All right, people, said Captain Taemin. We've got a problem. Let's figure out how to fix it. Fix it? Velthar stared at him. Captain, we are trapped in a dimensional anomaly. There is no fixing this. We can only wait and hope for rescue. Waiting isn't really our style, said Do-hyun, already working on his console. Let me see what these space distortions are made of. Maybe there's a way to break them. You cannot break the laws of physics, said Crix. Watch me, Do-hyun replied. Dr. Park So-young was checking her medical equipment. If we're going to be here for a while, I want to make sure everyone stays healthy. Dimensional distortions might have effects on our bodies. Miran was trying to boost their communication systems. Maybe we can find a way to send a message outside this pocket dimension. Let people know where we are. Velthar watched all of this and realized something that frightened him. The humans weren't following any survival protocols. They weren't accepting their fate. Instead, they were treating being trapped in impossible space as just another problem to solve. Do you not understand? He asked them. This situation is hopeless. We are trapped by forces beyond our control. The logical response is to accept this and prepare for the inevitable. Captain Taemin looked at him with calm eyes. Velthar, I understand you're scared. But hope isn't about logic. It's about refusing to give up, even when everything looks impossible. Hope is an emotion, Velthar said. Emotions cloud judgment. Maybe, said Dr. Park So-young. But emotions also give us strength to try things that logic says we shouldn't try. Velthar watched the humans work and felt like he was seeing something alien and strange. These beings didn't accept limits. They didn't follow the rules that governed every other species in the galaxy. And for the first time, he wondered if that might not be a weakness. Maybe it was something else entirely. After 6 hours trapped in the pocket dimension, Yoon Miran made a discovery that changed everything. Captain, she called out, excitement in her voice. I'm picking up other signals. Lots of them. Other ships? Asked Taemin. Yes, sir. I count at least 30 different vessels. Some of the signals are really old. I think we've found a ship graveyard. The main screen lit up with contact markers. Ships from different time periods and different species were scattered throughout the pocket dimension. Some had been trapped for decades, others for centuries. It's like a collection, whispered Dr. Park So-young. Ships that got caught and couldn't get out. I'm detecting life signs, added Crix, surprise in her crystal voice. Several of the ships still have living crews. Commander Velthar felt his hopes sink even lower. It wasn't just the New Horizon that was trapped. Dozens of ships with thousands of people were stuck in this place, and some had been here for hundreds of years. This is worse than I thought, he said. We're not just trapped. We're trapped with a collection of other doomed vessels. But Captain Taemin was smiling. Miran, can you establish communication with the other ships? Working on it now, she replied. Within an hour, they were talking to captains from dozens of different vessels. The conversations were heartbreaking. Most of the trapped crews had given up hope long ago. They had accepted that they would die in this place. We've been here for 47 years, said Captain Zenth of a Heliosan research vessel. There is no escape. We have tried everything. We stopped trying to leave 30 years ago, said Commander Pyrrhix of a Zentorian patrol ship. We focus now on making our remaining time meaningful. But the strangest conversation was with the aspiration. When Miran finally connected with them, everyone on the bridge of the New Horizon held their breath. "This is Chief Administrator Hong Dae-soo of the colony ship Aspiration," came a human voice across 200 years of space. "Who is this?" "This is Captain Lee Taemin of the research vessel New Horizon. We received your distress beacon. We came to help." There was a long pause. Then laughter. "Actual laughter. You came to help?" said Dae-soo. "Into the grief zones? Are you crazy?" "Probably," admitted Taemin. "How many of you are left? 12,000, give or take. We've built a whole society in here. Kids who were born in this pocket dimension and have never seen real space. Grandparents who've forgotten what Earth looks like." Dr. Park So-young grabbed the communication device. 12,000? How did you survive for 200 years? "Carefully," Dae-soo replied. "We set up farms on the ship. Recycled everything. Made do with what we had. The hard part wasn't surviving. The hard part was keeping hope alive." "But you did keep hope alive," said Miran. "You kept broadcasting your distress signal." "Someone had to," Dae-soo said. "Even when everyone told us it was pointless. Even when the other ships said we were wasting power. We kept hoping someone would come." Commander Velthar listened to this conversation and felt something strange inside his chest. These humans had survived for 2 centuries in an impossible situation. They had built a life where there should have been only death. And they had never stopped hoping for rescue. "We need to get everyone out of here," said Captain Taemin. "Everyone?" asked Captain Zenth of the Heliosan ship. "That is impossible. Many of us have been here for decades. We have accepted our fate." "I don't accept that," said Taemin. Engineer Kim Do-hyun was studying the pocket dimension walls. "Captain, I think I understand how this place works. It's like a bubble in space-time. Ships get pulled in, but they can't get out because the walls are made of collapsed space. Can we break the walls?" asked Dr. Park So-young. "Maybe," said Do-hyun. "But it would be dangerous." "Really dangerous? How dangerous?" asked Velthar. "There's a good chance it would kill everyone instantly," Do-hyun admitted. "But there's also a chance it might work." "What are the exact percentages?" asked Krix. Do-hyun looked at his calculations. 27% chance of success. 73% chance of immediate death. Every alien on the bridge went quiet. Those were terrible odds. You didn't risk everything on a 27% chance. "So you're saying there's a chance," said Captain Taemin. "A small chance," Do-hyun said. "But a chance," said Dr. Park So-young. "You cannot be serious," said Velthar. "You would risk the lives of everyone in this pocket dimension on such poor odds?" "What's the alternative?" asked Miran. "Stay here forever? Let all these people spend the rest of their lives trapped in space. At least they would have lives," Velthar pointed out. "What kind of lives?" asked Dr. Park So-young. "Trapped, hopeless, waiting to die? That's not living. That's just existing." Captain Taemin opened communication to all the trapped ships. "This is Captain Taemin of the New Horizon. We have a plan to get everyone out of here. It's risky, but it might work." He explained Do-hyun's idea. The silence that followed was long and heavy. Finally, Captain Zenth responded. "The risk is too great. We have survived here for decades. We should not throw away our lives on such a desperate plan." "I agree," said Commander Pyrix. "The probability of success is too low." But then Chief Administrator Dae-soo of the Aspiration spoke up. "We'll do it." "The risk is 73% fatal," Velthar reminded him. "We've been dead for 200 years, Dae-soo replied. "We're just not buried yet. If there's a chance to really live again, to see real stars and real worlds, then it's worth the risk." One by one, other human voices joined in. The Aspiration had 12,000 people, and they were willing to risk everything for a chance at freedom. "Why?" asked Captain Zenth. "Why would you choose almost certain death over a safe existence here?" Chief Administrator Dae-soo was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Because we're human, and humans don't give up. We don't accept that this is as good as it gets. We always believe tomorrow can be better than today, even when logic says otherwise," asked Velthar. "Especially when logic says otherwise," replied Dae-soo. "Logic told us we'd die in the first year. Logic said 12,000 people couldn't survive on a broken colony ship. Logic said no one would ever come looking for us. But here we are, still alive, and here you are, ready to help." Dr. Park So-young was wiping tears from her eyes. "We're getting you home," she said. "All of you. I don't care what the odds are. Commander Velthar watched the humans prepare for their impossible rescue attempt and realized something that shook him to his core. These beings didn't just refuse to accept limits. They refused to accept that some things couldn't be changed. And maybe, just maybe, that was exactly what this situation needed. Engineer Kim Do-hyun spent the next 12 hours working on the most dangerous plan anyone had ever attempted. He was going to try to collapse the pocket dimension by overloading the New Horizons quantum drive, creating a chain reaction that would either free everyone or kill them all instantly. "Explain it to me again," said Commander Velthar, trying to understand how the plan could possibly work. Do-hyun pointed to his diagrams on the main screen. "Think of this pocket dimension like a soap bubble. It's trapped air surrounded by a thin wall. If we can make a small hole in the wall, the bubble pops and everything inside gets pushed out." "But how do you make the hole?" asked Crix. "By overloading our quantum drive. The energy explosion will hit the dimensional wall at just the right frequency. If my calculations are right, it will create a crack that spreads around the entire bubble." "And if your calculations are wrong?" asked Velthar. "Then we all die in about 3 seconds, Do-hyun admitted. Dr. Park So-young was preparing her own part of the plan. She was going to use the ship's medical bay to create what she called a life preservation field. It was supposed to protect living beings during the dimensional collapse. This has never been tested," she explained to the alien crew members. "I'm basically guessing how to keep people alive while space-time falls apart around them." "You are guessing?" Velthar could not believe what he was hearing. "You are risking thousands of lives on a guess?" "It's an educated guess," Dr. Park So-young said, "based on everything I know about human biology and dimensional physics." "But it is still a guess," Crix pointed out. "Yes," Dr. Park So-young agreed. "But sometimes a guess is all you have. Sometimes you have to try something even when you don't know if it will work." Yoon Mi-ran was working on the communication systems. Her job was to coordinate all the trapped ships so they would activate their emergency systems at exactly the right time. Every ship needed to boost their shields and life support at the exact moment the dimensional collapse began. "The timing has to be perfect," she explained. "If even one ship is off by a few seconds, the whole plan fails. How can you guarantee perfect timing across 30 different ships with different technologies?" asked Velthar. "I can't guarantee it," Mi-ran said. "I can just do my best and hope everyone else does the same." Captain Taemin was studying the route they would need to take during the collapse. He would have to manually pilot the ship through collapsing space-time, following a path that no computer could calculate because it wouldn't exist until the collapse actually started. "You will be flying blind through changing space," Velthar told him. "This is impossible." "Impossible is just another word for something no one has done yet," Taemin replied. The alien crew members held an emergency meeting in the ship's conference room. They were trying to decide if they should stop the humans from attempting their crazy plan. "They have lost their minds," said Velthar. "This is not a rescue plan. This is a mass suicide attempt. The mathematical probability of success is 26.7%, said Crix. "No reasonable being would attempt something with such poor odds." "But what if they are right?" asked a young Heliosian engineer named Quex. "What if this plan actually works?" "Even if it works, the risk is too great," Velthar replied. "We should stop them." "How?" asked Quex. "They are determined to try this, and the humans on the other ships agree with them." That was the problem. It wasn't just the New Horizons crew. The 12,000 human survivors on the Aspiration were ready to risk everything for a chance at freedom. They had voted unanimously to support the plan, but most of the other alien ships refused to participate. Captain Zenth sent a message saying his crew would not take part in what he called organized madness. Commander Pyrrhix agreed with him. "We will not risk our lives on such a desperate plan. We choose to remain here safely." Captain Taemin tried to convince them. "If you don't help, the plan might not work for anyone. We need all ships working together." "Then your plan is flawed from the beginning," Captain Zenth replied. "A good plan does not require everyone to risk death." "Sometimes a good plan is the only plan," said Chief Administrator Daesu from the Aspiration. "Sometimes you have to choose between a dangerous chance and no chance at all." Dr. Park So-young got on the communication system and spoke directly to the alien crews. "I understand you're scared. I'm scared too. But fear isn't a good reason to give up hope. Your families, your friends, your worlds, don't you want to see them again? We would like to see them again, Captain Zenth admitted. But we would prefer to remain alive rather than die in a failed escape attempt. What if it's not a failed attempt? Asked Miran. What if we actually succeed? The odds are against success, Crix pointed out. Odds don't tell the whole story, said Do-hyun. Sometimes the impossible thing happens because someone is crazy enough to try it. As the time for the attempt grew closer, something unexpected started to happen. One by one, some of the alien crew members began to change their minds. The first was Quex, the young Heliosan engineer. I have been trapped here for 15 years, he announced. I was barely an adult when we got caught. I want to see my home world again, even if it means risking death. Then a Zentorian communications officer named Zeltar joined them. My children have never met me, she said. They think their father is dead. If there is any chance to see them again, I must take it. Soon, about half of the trapped alien crews had decided to participate in the plan. The other half still refused. Commander Velthar watched this happening and felt confused. These aliens were starting to act like humans. They were making decisions based on hope instead of logic. Why are you doing this? He asked Quex. The mathematics clearly show this plan will probably fail. Because the humans are right about something, Quex replied. Living in fear is not really living at all. Captain Taman gathered everyone who was willing to participate. This is it, he said. In 2 hours we attempt the impossible. Some of us might not survive, but if we do this right, thousands of people will go home to their families. Any last thoughts? Asked Dr. Park So-young. Chief Administrator Dae-soo spoke up from the aspiration. 200 years ago, we left Earth to build a better life among the stars. We got lost along the way, but we never stopped believing that someday, somehow we would find our way home. Today might be that day. And if today isn't that day? Asked Velthar. Taemin looked at him with calm eyes. Then at least we tried. At least we didn't give up. Commander Velthar realized that he was watching something he had never seen before. He was watching beings choose hope over fear, possibility over safety, and dreams over reality. It was terrifying. It was illogical. It was completely insane. But for the first time since being trapped in the pocket dimension, Velthar felt something he thought he had lost forever. He felt hope. The moment came at exactly 14:30 ship time. Engineer Kim Do-hyun's hand moved to the quantum drive controls while across space, dozens of other ships prepared to either die together or escape together. All ships, report ready status, called Yoon Mi-ran into her communicator. One by one the voices came back. The aspiration with its 12,000 survivors. The New Horizon with its mixed crew. The alien vessels whose crews had chosen hope over fear. Even some ships that had refused to participate were standing by, ready to help if the plan somehow worked. Ready, called Chief Administrator Dae-soo. Ready, said Quex from his Heliosan ship. Ready, whispered Zeltar from her Zentorian vessel. Commander. Velthar looked around the bridge of the New Horizon. Dr. Park So-young was at her medical station, ready to activate the life preservation field. Captain Taemin was at the helm, hands on manual controls. Mi-ran was coordinating with all the other ships. Velthar, said Captain Taemin, are you ready? Velthar had never been less ready for anything in his life. Every logical part of his brain screamed that this was madness. But he looked at the humans around him, saw their determination and hope, and realized something important. I am ready, he said. Do-hyun began the countdown. Quantum drive overload in 10, 9, 8. In the last few seconds, Dr. Park So-young did something unexpected. She grabbed the communication device and spoke to everyone in the pocket dimension. Whatever happens next, remember this moment, she said. Remember that we tried. Remember that we refused to give up. Remember that we chose to believe in tomorrow. 3, 2, 1, Do-hyun finished. Initiating quantum overload. The New Horizon began to shake as energy built up in its engines. On the main screen, they could see the pocket dimension walls starting to glow as the quantum energy hit them. For a moment, nothing happened. Then everything happened at once. The dimensional walls didn't crack like Do-hyun expected. Instead, they began to twist and stretch, creating holes that looked like doorways leading back to normal space. It's working, shouted Mi-ran. The walls are opening. But the escape wasn't happening the way anyone had planned. Instead of one big collapse, the pocket dimension was creating multiple exits that were stable and safe. Impossible, whispered Crix. The dimensional structure should have collapsed. Completely. Maybe impossible is just another word for something we don't understand. Yet, said Dr. Park So-young. Captain Taemin guided the New Horizon toward the nearest dimensional doorway. Behind them, other ships were following. The Aspiration, carrying 12,000 people who had been lost for 200 years. The alien vessels whose crews had chosen to believe in the impossible. As they flew through the dimensional doorway, space twisted around them in colors that had no names. For a few seconds, they existed in a place between places, where the normal rules of physics didn't apply. Then they burst out into normal space, with real stars shining around them and the familiar background radiation of the galaxy welcoming them home. "We're out," said Miran, her voice full of wonder. "We're actually out." One by one, other ships appeared through different dimensional doorways. The Aspiration emerged with all 12,000 survivors safe and alive. The alien vessels that had joined the plan came through successfully. Even some ships that had stayed behind had been pushed out when the pocket dimension transformed. In the end, 47 ships escaped from what everyone had thought was an impossible trap. Not a single life was lost. "This should not have been possible," said Velthar, staring at his sensor readings. "The plan was to collapse the dimension," agreed Do-hyun. "But instead it transformed into something stable, something safe." Chief Administrator Daisu appeared on the main screen, and for the first time in 200 years, he could see real stars behind him instead of the twisted space of the pocket dimension. "How did you know it would work?" he asked Captain Taemin. "I didn't know," Taemin admitted. "None of us knew. We just believed it was worth trying." "But the mathematics showed only a 27% chance of success," said Crick's Dr. Park. So-young smiled. Maybe the mathematics were wrong. Maybe when enough people believe in something strongly enough, the universe finds a way to make it happen. Over the next few hours, rescue ships arrived from across the galaxy. The Galactic Council, which had ordered them not to attempt the rescue, was now scrambling to help coordinate the return of thousands of people who had been given up for dead. The 12,000 survivors from the Aspiration were reunited with a civilization that had changed completely during their 200 years in the pocket dimension. They had descendants who were now older than they were. They had technologies to learn and new worlds to see. The other rescued ships returned to their home systems, carrying with them stories of the impossible rescue that had worked against all odds. Captain Taemin faced questions from the Galactic Council about disobeying direct orders, but instead of being punished, he was honored. The Council created something called the Taemin Protocol, a new rule that allowed crews to attempt impossible rescues when all normal methods had failed. "The humans have taught us something important," announced the Council chairman. "They have shown us that sometimes the impossible is just another word for something we haven't tried yet." Commander Velthar filed his final report about the mission. He wrote, "Human behavior appears illogical only because it operates on a different kind of logic. Where other species see impossible problems, humans see engineering challenges. Where others see hopeless situations, humans see opportunities to prove that hope itself is a force of nature." He paused, thinking about what he had learned. Then he continued writing. "They did not rescue those people because it made sense. They rescued them because it was the right thing to do. And somehow the universe responded to that rightness by making the impossible become possible." Dr. Park So-young was promoted to Chief Medical Officer for the entire sector, with a specialty in treating survivors of impossible situations. Engineer Do-hyun became famous throughout the galaxy for developing new theories about dimensional physics based on believing that limits could be overcome. Miran was assigned to lead a new communication project designed to reach out to other lost ships, other impossible situations, other people who needed to know that someone was coming for them. And Captain Taemin? He kept doing what he had always done. He kept believing that tomorrow could be better than today, and that no one should be left behind. The story spread throughout the galaxy, told and retold by every species. It became known as the human miracle, the day when beings from Earth proved that hope was stronger than logic, that determination could overcome mathematics, and that sometimes the most impossible thing was also the most necessary thing. When alien children asked their parents what made humans different from other species, the answer was always the same. "Humans don't believe in impossible," the parents would say. "They believe in not trying hard enough yet." and in the darkness between the stars that belief became a light that guided others home.